morning. Found these on the shore just now. If you lost them down at 7 Estuary, give us a shout. You can have them back. Right, loading the car this morning with all the gear, ready to come down here to the 7 Estuary. Oh, sparrowhawk, nice. Yeah, here is the 7 Estuary. I noticed, unfortunately, I damaged the ceramic lining of the top eye of my 14-foot rod. Most annoying. But anyway, I was going down to Real Fun Fishing in Portishead to get some bait on the way here. So I thought, that's alright, I'll pick up a new rod. Now, there are so many rods out there, I thought, I'm going to set myself some limits. One, it's going to be under 150 quid, because I don't go sea fishing that often. It's shore fishing mainly, here on the 7 Estuary, down the Bristol Channel, maybe on the Gower, West Wales, off the rocks, off the beach. I'm not casting any sort of distances, ever. If you've got to work that hard, yeah, get a boat. Anyway, that's alright, the mine's come to empty the bin, which is quite handy here, because if you do fishing and you want to put all your salty rubbish somewhere, you just chuck it in there. Anyway, we'll wait for him to finish and we'll come back. Right, so the bin's empty. Where were we? Oh yes, Maggard rod tip. So, new rod. Going down to Portishead, Real Fun Fishing, look at some new rods. Now, before I went, I had a quick look online, see what I wanted, and I thought, right, I want something about 14 foot, suitable for fishing, because I'm not chucking it that far. Fishing off the rocks, just off the beach, short range, just behind the surf, something like that, or in the estuary, in the gullies, that sort of thing. 14 foot. Wanted something with kind of register bites. Not too fine, but enough to register bites. But bearing in mind that here on the 7, you do get a lot of tidal flow when, especially on the outgoing tide. So, you know, it wants to show bites, but not be too whippy. The other thing is, it wanted to take a fixed pull reel rather than a multiplier, because again, not casting that far, so a multiplier is not required. The retrieve rate is not. Needed to have a bit of grunt in the bottom end, because the fish here, you know, codling, 6-8 pound, and conger, I've had them 5 foot long out of here, so you know, it needs to be able to have a bit of grunt to get him in off the mud, or you know, over kelp and rocks and things like that. So that's what I was looking for. Anyway, I had 3 in mind. The one I actually thought that I'd probably go for was the Axios, the 420. It was about 130 quid, I think they wanted for that. Anyway, went down there, had a chat with the guys down there, really good, very helpful. And anyway, this is what I came up with. Just put that down. Now, it says on here, it's the Penn Rampage 2 Surf 15 foot 9 inch. Yes, because that's the bag they had. What I actually ended up with. Oh, and this was 140 quid, so it's within my limit that I set myself. Right, what have we got? It's the Penn Rampage 2 Surf 14 foot, rated for 80 to 120 gram, which is quite light. And you think, well, if you've got tidal width, you're going to be using quite heavy legs, aren't you, with breakaway legs? Well, because I often fish the gullies, or I fish where the gullies are when they're flooded, you don't get much of a tidal rip. And if you're on a beach, you're not casting that far, so you're not going to get too much pull. Anyway, that's what I went for. But why? Why did I go for this? Well, 3 main reasons. Apart from it fitting my brief, 14 foot, takes multiplier or fixed ball. It's not an adjustable, movable reel seat, so you can't have it down the bottom. for multipliers, but that's not a problem. It does what I wanted. Three things that sold it to me. First of all, it comes in three sections. First of all, when you put the sections together, and I'll get them out, maybe I should have done earlier, preparation and planning. In fact, there's four things, four reasons I went for this one, thinking about it. Adapt and modify. I'll speed this bit up, shall I? Yeah, okay. Right. Four things. One, where the sections go together, it's not one sliding into the other. They've actually got very strong carbon joints. Yeah? Which I prefer because it gives it more strength. Okay, you lose a certain amount of flexibility, but then you don't want flexibility in the bottom half. That's where your power comes from, because, okay, all these websites and all these manufacturers, they keep banging on about how far you can cast it, how the modulus carbon blanks are designed for casting. What's casting got to do with it? Okay, if you want to cast to the horizon, you're not going to get a rod this cheap that's going to do that easily, but what you do want is a rod that's going to land a fish. Never mind casting. It's not about casting, it's about playing and landing a fish, getting the fish up over the kelp, over the rocks. That's the way I think anyway. So I'm not interested in how well it casts. I want to know how well it shows a bite indication and how well it gets the fish to me without losing them. Anyway, so first thing, the way it goes together. I like it, it's stronger in my way of thinking. Second thing, the butt. If you look at the butt of most rods, they end sort of like this bit here. They just come to an end, and there's a little cap in there. Well, you know how muddy the 7 estuary is, and what if you're fishing off rocks? You can have this locked into a crevice in the rocks, and you're not going to damage your blank, are you? So that's good. Also, when you're casting, fishing, landing, playing a fish, you've got something to hold on to. Right? So that's number 2. Number 3, the tip. Now, even with my rubbish colour sight, I can see that. And at night, I think it's fluorescent. I hope so. It'd be really handy. Okay? So, it's not going to show bites that easy. But then the fish I'm likely to catch, I'm not after flatties and little silver eels. I'm after something decent. Which has got to put a good old knock on that, which is good. And finally, and by no means least, and although this is the wrong one, it comes in a tube. So you could throw it in the back of the car, you could dump your kit bag on top of it, you're not going to damage it. Also, if you're going down the rock face to the platform to fish off the rocks and you drop it, no damage to the rock. As long as you don't go in the water and disappear in the sea. So that's it. That's the rod. I'm going to put it together out there on the side of the river. Oh, and the reason I'm doing it here in the car park is it's blowing a hoolie out there and you wouldn't have heard a word of what I'm saying. So, anyway. Penn Rampage 2 Surf, 14 foot. Let's go and put it together, chuck a bait out on the sea and see how it casts and how it handles. Alright? Right, one slight modification on this rod for today is I've put one of these on. It's casting Cannon. If I can remember how it works.
You wrap your line round it a couple of times, like that, pull the trigger, and it stops the line going until you release the trigger on the cast. Okay, so nothing fancy, just a very simple straight lob, about 40, 50 yards if that. See, easy. Pretty damn easy. And that was literally just a lob. No real grunt put into that whatsoever. Okay, so there's a slight lull in the wind blowing. Only a very slight lull, mind. Ooh, that's bright now. I'm going to take the opportunity, while the wind is a little bit lower, to tell you what I think of the Penn Rampage 2 14 foot. I'm not quite sure where they get the name Rampage from. I can't see it running rampage around the British coast, but it's okay. Yeah, it's I mean, for the money, it's pretty good. I wanted a rod that would show bite indication even when there's a tide pulling, and it does that. I've had a couple of little knocks on it the past couple of times out. And even though with a strong wind blowing, it and there was quite a pull on the tip, it did register rattling knocks. So something like a codling or a conger, especially at bass, they're definitely going to show up. I mean, I think what I was getting was just sort of small eel tagging at the bait. So yeah, it did that. I'm currently fishing with breakaway lead splashdown, which is, I believe, 135 gram. I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't tell you for sure, but it's the blue ones, it's the blue splashdowns, which I'm pretty sure is 135 gram. Now, this rod is rated 80 to 120, so I'm a bit overgunned, but then I'm only lobbing it. I'm not chucking it too far, so it's not a problem. I haven't caught anything big on it. In fact, I haven't caught anything on it yet. All right. But I'm sure, with getting it snagged in the mud and things like that, when you really lean into it, you've got to, you can tighten the clutch up on the reel quite a lot, and it bends well. It bends well. It puts quite a lot of pressure on. I even got to the point where I thought the 25-pound main line was going to snap at one point, and it had a good gradual curve. So, yeah, it's got some grunt. I mean, if I got a decent size, 6 to 8 pound codling or a conger, now with the water quite near the at high water now, it's just a couple of feet below my feet now. Yeah, I could easily get a decent size. I could lift it out with the rod. And a conger pulling in this flow and in this depth of water, I'm sure it can handle it easily. So yeah, it's good. It's good. I'd give it, okay, for the price, I'd give it 8 out of 10. As a shore rod, with no price comparison, I'd give it a 5 or a 6. Say a 6. We'll be generous. We'll give it a 6. but then 120, 130 quid, you know, it's good. It's good. It's okay. Yeah. Right. So that's the Penn Rampage 2, and this is the 14 foot.